Going to do a quick video here on changing the oil in a 2002 Mazda MPV. I've already done a more detailed video called changing the oil in your vehicle, which I kind of elaborate on some things on, but if this is the type of vehicle you have, basically over on the left side of the engine, there's your oil dipstick for measuring the level, and here is our oil filler cap. As you note, it has the type of engine marked right on it, or type of engine oil that this vehicle takes, marked right on the cap. The oil drain plug on this vehicle is a 15mm bolt, so put a 15mm socket on your ratchet, set it for lefty-loosey, take it off, or obviously a 15mm wrench. Here's what the oil pan looks like in this vehicle. There's the drain plug with my socket on it. Also a good idea, if you can, just take the vehicle for a short run just to warm up the oil. It'll drain easier. To me, that's not a big deal. If you get a chance, fine. There's the oil pan for the refuse oil, positioned under the drain plug. This shouldn't be too tight because let's just see if I can hold the camera and loosen this off. It's close. Oh. Anyway, as I say, the ratchet is set for counterclockwise. I'll loosen that off. As I suspected, oops, that wasn't all that tight. So just loosen the plug off. Once it gets really loose, finger tight, you'll start to see some oil drip out. I like to keep a little pressure on the plug until it comes right out. See if I can show that. Cramp space here. So what I'm doing is I'm just pushing in on the plug just a little bit as I turn it. Kind of keeps the oil from going everywhere. And I can feel that's just about to come out. So as I say, you got your drain pan under that. And here it comes. Dun, 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 dun. So on this vehicle, just to get your bearings, there's the bottom of the oil pan, there's the oil coming out, and towards the front of the vehicle, up there, right above the exhaust manifold, is the oil filter. Now theoretically that shouldn't be too tight either, but I'm not going to be able to hold this camera tight and loosen that off. Again, it's going to be counterclockwise to take that off. So there's all sorts of different types of filter wrenches. I like this type. You just basically put your socket in the end of the metal piece, wrap this around the filter, and then you just, let's just pretend for a second my hand is the oil filter. So wrap this around, tighten it up, and if you're not sure which way it goes, just kind of tighten it. You'll start to feel, as I got it around my fingers here right now, that as I tighten it, this is going in a counterclockwise direction, and counterclockwise being the direction to loosen something off. So I'll put this on the filter and show you what I mean. So the old oil has drained out, and my personal preference before I even take that old filter off is actually to put that drain plug back in, because it's an awful thing if somebody, and this can happen, gets in the process of doing this and forgets to put that drain plug back in, start up that engine and blow it. So the manual advises 33 foot-pounds for this, so I'm going to put that on, tighten it up. 33 foot-pounds is not all that tight. There's not not a lot of pressure on the oil pan. It's just a reservoir for the oil. So anyway, I'll tighten the rest of that with the wrench. After I get that plug back in, I like to just clean up around it, because once we're done, I'm going to start the engine. We're going to be just giving it a quick look underneath the vehicle, obviously staying away from any moving parts, but just or even after we just run it, and you can actually stop the vehicle, not have it running, and just give a look underneath to see if any signs of oil leaking. If you're using this type of filter engine, hopefully you can see what I've got happening here. I've got the ratchet in the end of the metal portion of the filter. The cloth type material is wrapped around the filter. You get that in place first. As I said, kind of using your hand as a guide, roughly the size of the filter. You can kind of, before you even slip it on the filter, get it to roughly the size and then put it in place. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show this as I loosen off, but what I'm going to do is, to keep it stable, I'm going to hold the end of the wrench in this hand, and then I'm just going to very gently apply the pressure to the end of the ratchet, and that will move the filter in the counterclockwise direction and loosen it off. If you start to feel you're putting a whole lot of pressure on that and it's not moving, you're going to want to reevaluate, because you don't want to crush that oil filter in there and have pieces of it to try to get out. I've got the oil filter loosened off. I'm going to keep turning it now by hand in a counterclockwise direction here, and I'm going to keep a bit of pressure pushing up on that filter, because when it again, when it releases, that's what I'm trying to show you there. The oil is going to start spilling out, and I have my drain pan for the refuse oil right below the filter at this point. So here's my new oil filter. I'm going to take a little bit of clean oil and just put it around that gasket. That's kind of a hard rubber there, just to lube it up a little bit so it's not dry when I go to put it on. So we're going to put the new filter on here. You can see the threaded piece there. Get it in position. Just slowly start to turn that. Shouldn't have to apply any real pressure to it. Now I've got my hand off there, so we know it's on. And it should spin really easily. Now, once that oil filter seats to the engine, you'll feel it touch. And once it gets to that point, we're going to turn it about another half to 3/4 of a turn, no more, because you don't want to get this on too tight. Now, I'm not going to be able to do that and hold this camera. But if you tighten that too much, it's going to be really difficult for the next guy to get it off when they go to change it the next time. Once you get the filter tightened up, same as with the drain plug. Just give it a quick cleaning in around there, because what we're going to be doing after we're all done is just run the engine for a minute or two, turn it off, and then look under the engine, see if we see any leaks. Take off your oil filler cap. Have your new oil ready. Check the owner's manual or whatever, see how much oil the vehicle takes. And use a funnel to pour the oil in. I don't know why, I should know better. I tried to skip that step and just wasted a bunch of oil and had to clean it up over the engine. So it's worth going and finding your funnel. Put the filler cap back on. So the oil has been changed, and at this point what I like to do, and this is just something I was told years ago and I don't know if it applies anymore, but I always do it anyway and I like the idea of, is I'll start the vehicle and turn it off before it actually starts to run a couple times. Now the logic I was told to this is that the oil pump will move the oil up into the filter, which is empty at this point. I mean, some people will say, well, try to fill the filter with oil and then put it on. I've never had any luck doing that, keeping the oil in the filter while you're trying to get it on. So this is a method of just putting a little pressure on the engine and getting the oil to move around up through the filter. Anyway, after you've done all this, I'm going to run it, look under the vehicle, just with the vehicle off, see if I see any oil dripping, which I never really do, but it's a good idea to check. And then I'm just going to take it for a short drive around town. I'm not going to head right for the highway or anything and put a lot of pressure on the engine. And then again, I'll just give it a look to make sure that, check my oil level and make sure my level is correct. And that's it for this video.